The WNBA just continues to be a masterclass. They just continue to be the masters of showing everybody how not to run a professional league or a semi-professional league or an amateur league or a local hot dog stand, you name it. Um, they just they just don't get it, and that's all there is to it. And at some point, they're going to have to figure out a way to get it and take a side and stand up when they need to stand up and stand down when they need to stand down. And that's just all there is to it. So, I don't know, what is it, about a week now, 2 weeks, Caitlin Clark was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. So, basically, after 27 years of complete irrelevance by the WNBA, where they never turned a profit once in a season, in any of those seasons, and per the NBA's commissioner, Adam Silver, they've lost an average of $10 million dollars a year over that time. So that means that at least a quarter of a billion, if not more, has been sunk into this, and literally sunk. It may as well sink down to the bottom of the sea with the Titanic. Even the Titanic wreckage at the bottom of the sea has some value. People try to go down there to look at it, sometimes fatally, like with the recent submarine deal, which was a tragedy. But this is just money they may as well just light on fire, because they finally, after all this time, have a road to profit, a clear road to profit. They have a superstar that people want to see, that people are interested in, and somebody whose comments are going to spark reactions no matter what. You can say what you want about your feelings about Caitlin Clark and what she said in her Time Magazine interview, and I've made my feelings clear. A lot of other people made their feelings clear, but the fact is people responded. Everybody except the WNBA, that is. A lot of people respond, which means that people care. White privilege comments have been made by numerous people, and nobody cares because it's not somebody that anybody cares about. The WNBA has made so many social justice warrior comments, so many woke comments, talking about white privilege and male privilege and misogyny and racism and homophobia and transphobia and acrophobia. I just made the last one up because none of them play in arenas large enough to be high up enough to be scared of heights. But they talk all about that, but nobody cares because nobody cares about the person saying it. Well, now they have somebody that not only do people care about, she has captured the world's attention to the point where when she mentioned white privilege, which again, I can't overstate, boils my blood when people say white privilege. Part of me gets why she said that, which I'll get into here in a second. But, she mentioned that and people they felt personally betrayed. And you know what? That's their right. I'm not here to tell any of those people they're wrong by any means. I don't personally see it that way, and again, I'll get into why I feel that way. But the fact is, she's getting destroyed from every angle. To me, my feelings on the article were obviously, I hated that she said that, but I kind of get the fact she's trying to work both sides of the street. The people in the WNBA, the people that she has to work beside, work with, compete against, and basically work together to try to build this brand, because they're all on the same ship at the end of the day. And if the WNBA does good, they're all going to go to good places. And if it sinks, they're all going to sink together. She has to try to pacify them to an extent. And I feel like that's a lot of what she did this interview, with some of the things she said that people, don't feel very well about. And like I said, I get that. I'm not here to, again, browbeat anybody. To me, I just feel like, she loves the sport. She loves the WNBA, even though it was not loved her back. It's unrequited love for sure, but she loves it. And she also understands she needs the WNBA to be strong. She can't be the only person in that league doing anything while everybody else just takes shots after shots after shot at her. That's not going to work, and she understands that. So I feel like she kind of said that in a way. She started off with "I've earned everything." So to me, again, my feeling, and I can't prove this, but my feeling is that she doesn't really believe that. I don't feel like she feels that way. But the fact is, she is getting destroyed for that, and a lot of people that have put a lot of their time and effort into watching her I mean, they feel betrayed. I'm just going to say it. They feel betrayed, and that's an issue. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones that are going to determine the success or the failure of this league. And that's where the WNBA needs to step in and stop stepping back and being quiet. You know, every time something happens, like with the eye poke incident, and somebody was asked was it intentional, they flip out. You know, something happens to Caitlin Clark, they just stand back like nothing happens, whether it's getting beaten up on the court, having horrible cheap shots, attempts to injure her badly, like the eye poke. You know, they don't say anything about that. And now, you know, like I said, she's getting it from all sides. You know, she's basically having to try to walk down the middle of the street and just getting pelted on both sides. You know, the people that are very much against the woke agenda that the WNBA lives and dies by, and has lived and died by over these last 27 years, when they've not turned a profit and just had to rely on the NBA's handouts to keep them afloat, the subsidizing, the basic welfare system. That, you know, they don't like the fact that she's not just going to constantly stay on her knees and apologize for being white. And, you know, those of us that are just done with wokeness, you know, we don't want to hear any of it. You know, I didn't like hearing it. Like I said, I gave her a little bit of grace. I felt the need to give her the grace, but the fact is, what she says is a problem. And it's a problem that the WNBA has not addressed. And this is the time. I've mentioned this in a lot of other videos. You know, obviously I've mentioned, you know, the socialism aspect and how the WNBA's never had to answer to anybody. Well, they've never had a need to answer to anybody because nobody cared. So they just do whatever they wanted and, you know, further push anybody that might care away, who probably wasn't going to tune in anyways. Well, now it's different. Now, like I said, they have a clear path to relevance and profitability and true respect as a league. And this is where the WNBA needs to step up and protect Caitlin. They need to have her back. And I don't mean like, you know, shelter her and do every little thing for her, but they have got to stand up and have her back and say, look, this is our person for one way or the other. Now, obviously, the best thing to do is to say, look, she's earned everything. She doesn't have to. She's under no obligation to speak on any issues regarding politics, socioeconomics, race, or anything like that. This is where somebody, again, has to be the adult in the room and stand up and say, this is not her place. She does not have to. She doesn't want to. She doesn't have to. And they're just absolutely unwilling to do that. They're just sitting back and letting this happen, and they don't know what to do. They don't know whether to shit or wind their watch. It's just so pathetic to watch. I mean, you understand why this league has never done anything except lose money to the tune of $10 million a year on average. And even now they have this incredible supernova. You know, I mean, she's the athlete of the year for sure. No athlete's been talked about more. No athlete has by far meant as much to her sport as she has. Like I said, I think I said 26 to 27% of the WNBA's profits, of the money they actually made last year, can be tied directly to her. And a lot of the rest of it can be tied indirectly to her, but it can't be proven on a spreadsheet, so that doesn't count. But just what you can directly trace back to her, 26 or 27% is her. That's where the WNBA has to step up and say, look, this is our chance, and we're going to take it. We're riding this wave. If you don't like it, if you feel like she needs to do this or this or this, get off. Go start your own league without us and see how that goes. You know, we've had two owners so far, or two, you know, members of an ownership group. One for the Atlanta Dream, Renee Montgomery, whose Atlanta Dream plays in a 3,300-seat arena. They share this arena with the Atlanta FaZe, which, as I mentioned before, is basically a league of people that play Call of Duty. Now, again, I have nothing against this. You know, it's a Call of Duty team. They play in front of people, and people show up to watch the best Call of Duty players in the world play Call of Duty live. You know, they don't go watching a live stream. They don't watch, you know, their live streamed videos just on YouTube or something. They actually go and watch them physically play it. And again, like I said, if you're into that, I don't have a problem with that, but you gotta know that's a niche sport. That's not gonna draw a lot of people, and they're having to share the same arena with them. Caitlin Clark comes into town. They were able to go to the State Farm Arena where the Atlanta Hawks played twice, 17,000 plus both times. A lot of extra money for the Atlanta Dreams, for Atlanta Dream. And Renee Montgomery pocketed that money after they played their second games. Then she has some things to say about Caitlin Clark and her fans that put that money in her pocket. Same thing recently with the last video I talked about with Washington Mystics owner, or part of the ownership group, Sheila Johnson, who has a much larger and better portfolio than Renee Montgomery, but she co-founded BET, which, say what you want about it, that's a network that has made money and has been culturally relevant. As a co-owner, she said, they don't need to put Caitlin Clark on the cover; they need to put all the WNBA on there and highlight women of color, and basically saying that she basically says she's undeserving of that. Again, Washington, they play their home games in an arena that holds about 4,000, 4,500, somewhere in there. Not good. Caitlin Clark, the 2 times she came to play Washington, they moved it to the Capital One Arena, I believe it's called, where the Washington Wizards play, as well as the Washington Capitals of the NHL, the big arena that holds 20,000. Both times, 20,000 plus people showed up to watch Caitlin Clark play. And so a lot of extra money that would not have been made had she not been there went into Sheila Johnson's pocket. That's where they need to step up for knocking her like that. Kathy Engelbert, Adam Silver, the respective commissioners of the WNBA and the NBA who's footing the bill, they need to stand up and say, look, if you're going to say you have the right to say stuff like that, First Amendment, you're protected by it, but, we own your league. And if you don't like the fact that she's being celebrated, then you clearly don't like the extra money that you're making off of her, and they need to fine them every bit of extra money they made from playing in the big arenas, as opposed to had the Fever come in and played in their normal arenas. And again, it's time for them to step up and start doing stuff like this to basically say, look, this is where we're going in the future. If you don't like it, get out. Go overseas. Hope this unrivaled thing, which I haven't heard about in weeks, so I don't know what's going on. If this unrivaled thing, hope it does well, but you're not going to have our support. If you want our support and our safety net of the tens of millions of dollars, you better do it the way we're going to do it, and the way we're going to do it is we're going out to make money. We're going to protect Caitlin. We're going to have her back. We're not necessarily going to give her a special whistle, but any plays like the Kennedy Carter hip check or Angel Reese whacking her across the head, or was it Diamond Shields, basically doing like a NFL, open field tackle on her, DJ Carrington poking her in the eye. These are going to be dealt with, kind of like in the NFL. Tom Brady has had some of the most ridiculous roughing the passer penalties called against him. It's tough to watch, but at the end of the day, it makes business sense. He's retired now, but when he was playing, you did not want to see Tom Brady get hurt. Coming off their incredible 2007 season when they went undefeated in the regular season, 16-0, made it to the Super Bowl and had that just crazy epic loss to the Giants. He was still the biggest guy, the biggest draw in the league, and some 7 minutes into the season, 7 minutes of the first game, he gets his knee blown out by somebody diving at his knees while he's throwing. Instantly, rules made. You're not diving at the quarterback's knees anymore. If you don't hit him. He had a roughing the passer penalty called on him once. Somebody just dove at his knees. Didn't hit him. But the NFL made a point, and they fined the guy to say, look, you're not doing this to our cash cow. If you're going to tackle Tom Brady, do so at your own risk. It's ridiculous. It made me mad a lot of times to see it, but I get it. Now, maybe they don't need to go that far with Caitlin, but at the same time, they have to basically stand up and say, we have her back. There has to be some sort of release saying, we applaud Caitlin for her comments in the Time magazine. We're very proud of the fact she's there. We look forward to the 2025 season and seeing the incredible gains this young lady's going to make. They've got to pick a side. This just sitting there watching things happen isn't going to work. So you either have to say, look, they're basically dragging us, people like myself, along. And we're not gonna do this for long. Last season was tough watching, again, this person that we have tuned in to watch just get shit on, beaten up, and just talked horribly about by her peers. We're going to make a lot of extra money off of her, by the way, money that would not be made otherwise. And they're trying to play. They're just trying to let it go the way it is. They need to either say, look, we're keeping it the way it was. It's an activist league. We expect it to lose money. And, for all you people that want to tune into Caitlin Clark, just be prepared. You can watch her, but, she's going to keep getting beaten up. And, it's not going to be a lot of fun watching her. You can say that, or you can say it's a new era. We're going to make money, and we're going to have her at the forefront of everything. And, again, anybody in the league that doesn't like it, you can either sell your team, get off of your team, go play overseas, and try not to end up in gulag. I know I have to make a gulag joke in every video, it seems like, but I can't help it. The WNBA has to step up and show that they are deserving of being a professional league that is worthy of being respected and worthy of being mainstream and worthy of not being ridiculed and just clowned the way it has over the last, its entire existence, 27 years, and just been clowned the whole time. They have to show that they're worthy of that. And the only way that's going to happen is through Caitlin Clark, through putting her up front, having her back, and protecting her from these unnecessary shots from owners, from players, and even from their own media. People like Monica McNutt. I know she's kind of tried to play both sides, but they need to look to her and say, look, if you're going to say this stuff, we're going to see to it that you get off the air somehow. And Cheryl Swoops, why they have her on any broadcast, I don't know. Like I said, every single time Caitlin Clark breathes, she goes on Gilbert Arenas' podcast to denounce Oxygen and talk about how horrible and how racist Oxygen is because Oxygen has allowed white people like Caitlin Clark to exist. She's pathetic, and she needs to be, put in a corner far, far away from the WNBA. The WNBA needs to dissociate themselves from her. I saw where they put in the Hall of Fame in front of Cheryl Swoops' Hall of Fame plaque or statue, however they do it, because she was a Hall of Fame basketball player. Won some MVPs, was a part of the first 4 WNBA championships led by Cynthia Cooper. She won a college championship at Louisiana Tech, which was a women's powerhouse for a little bit there. And they put a Caitlin Clark thing in front of her and just say, look, we're going to put every Caitlin Clark exhibit right in front of your Hall of Fame thing, so people have to literally move it to see anything about you. Like I said, just dissociate themselves from her as much as humanly possible without just saying it. Basically, the kind of stuff David Stern would have done to protect Michael Jordan back in the day had people been doing this to Michael. But the NBA, first of all, they knew better. They knew that Michael Jordan was their ticket to some bigger paydays, to a lot of attention, and the chance to play Michael Jordan meant that they had a chance to have a lot of eyes on them and eyes on their game. And, a lot of people use that as an opportunity for people to realize, hey, this might be the next guy. They played a famous game against the Lakers, and I believe it was 97, Shaq's first year there. And Kobe is a rookie. We saw, wow, this Kobe guy's pretty good. Allen Iverson played a game. Philadelphia went to Chicago. Or maybe Chicago went to Philadelphia. I forgot what it was, but he had a heck of a game. And we learned a lot about Allen Iverson there. So, it's time. It's time for the WNBA to stand up and say, we are going to be a professional league. We're standing behind Caitlin. We're going to ride Caitlin's wave, the wave of the Caitlin Clark effect. Either join in or get out. Period. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you later.